Everybody, welcome back to Off the Wall. I'm Mike. Today, here to talk about episode 6 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Soul is on vacation, traveling the world right now, and so she couldn't be here. So I'm gonna hit this episode myself. And man, what a waste of an episode. Honestly, this was just last week I felt like was a step in the right direction as far as the writing went, the story structure, the pacing. I thought last week's episode was pretty decent actually. And this one just felt like it was right back into the bad habits of the first four. A lot of just crappy writing, this story points that make no sense whatsoever, and then kind of steps on its own theme with the end of the episode. So now I really have no idea what they're going for anymore. So in this episode, Jen is going to a wedding for an old high school friend that she hasn't seen in years. Who among us cannot relate to that? Who among us has not gotten invited to a wedding for someone who we're like, I don't know why, and especially for being a bridesmaid. But I've been invited to be a groomsman in weddings for people that I haven't spoken to in a good long time. So I'll at least give the episode that's pretty relatable. It's an interesting twist to take, considering what happened at the end of last week's episode. There was that tease for the coming of Daredevil, who we know is coming, but I think it's important to remember that this is not Daredevil's show. The show has to be able to stand on its own without Daredevil being in there, and I think that's where the show is struggling. Is it's having a hard time standing on its own 2 feet, to the point where Jen makes a fourth wall break joke to us saying, I know, a self-contained wedding episode right in the middle of the season, that's awfully inconvenient, but that's just kind of how weddings are. And okay, yeah, haha, but I think the Joker said it best when he said,
If you have to explain a joke, there is no joke.
But then the joke itself doesn't make sense, because at the end of the episode, we get plot furthering things. So it's not really self-contained. So the joke doesn't make sense. It's just, you just kind of stepped on your own. Like, you want to make fun of yourself for taking time out of the show to do a wedding episode. Okay, well then do a wedding episode, but it's still kind of centric to the plot of the season. So it's not really the joke just doesn't make sense. And God love Tatiana Maslany. I mean, she is delivering these lines as best she can, but it is some weak sauce writing. We get Titania, who is at the wedding because she's dating one of the groom's friends, I guess. And everyone's like, oh, it's gonna be fine. No, it's not. Like, anyone with 2 cells in a brain would be able to see that, like, no, she's here to start some shit. Like, and for as finger on the pulse obsessed with her wedding going perfect as the bridezilla of this episode seems to be, although she's not really, I'll get into that in a sec, but like, anybody would be able to look at this and go like, no, she's here to start some shit. Like, it's pretty obvious. But I think where this episode really misfires is in the handling of Jen. This is the first time where I feel like they've really mishandled She-Hulk. Because up until now, as bad as the writing has been, they haven't like misused the character so much as just not. It's been, the problem has been everyone around She-Hulk. This was the first episode where She-Hulk, everything to do with She-Hulk made no sense. Why would Jen just show up as She-Hulk at this wedding? It makes no sense at all. She has been adamant about her personal life being about wanting to just be Jen, and admitting that yes, She-Hulk is a part of her, but she doesn't want it to define her. She just wants to be Jen. And you're going to a friend's wedding. Why the hell would you show up as She-Hulk, knowing damn well the attention's going to be on you? And then when the bride says, hey, can you not be Hulk at my wedding? And you say, oh, no one's gonna notice. You're a 7-foot tall green fighting machine. And you're also like one of the most famous people on the news right now. Everyone is going to notice. You are smarter than this, Jen. You are smarter than this. But then for them to her even turn around and say, wow, it goes to figure that the one time nobody wants me to be She-Hulk is the one time I didn't even want to be She-Hulk here in the first place. Nobody asked you to be She-Hulk. You just showed up. You just showed up as She-Hulk. I'd be pretty pissed off too. Not going to lie. Now, the bride and the other bridesmaids turn around and start treating Jen like crap, which could be seen as them like being kind of shady and putting her through some shit because she should have a She-Hulk, but like it doesn't add up because it ends up not kind of going anywhere. Like the way they're mistreating her could have been a plot line on its own, but they mistreat her, and then it just stops and everything's fine and it goes nowhere. And that is kind of my big problem with this episode, is that it both furthers the plot but jokes that it's not, but then at the same time also goes nowhere. Like in terms of being self-contained, like yeah, it's self-contained, then it's just kind of an episode. Like the stuff that was happening with Nikki and the other lawyer whose name I am blanking on right now, and Mr. Immortal was far more interesting than anything to do with She-Hulk. And the stuff with Mr. Immortal was just kind of started and it ended, and that was it. It was such an interesting setup that they were like, oh, okay, it's fixed now. It's just we cut away. Here's the problem. We cut away. We cut back. Oh, it's fixed. That's it. It's fixed. We fixed it. Hey guys, we solved it. I just, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because last week's episode was good. Last week's episode was a good episode, and this one just lost any momentum that they picked up with last week's episode. Any momentum they picked up with me was lost with this one. And now we have 3 episodes left in this season. Three 30-minute episodes left in this season, and we're just now getting to the, oh yeah, there's people after Jen. Like there's people who hate her and are trying to get her stuff. Remember how we mentioned that in like episode 2? Yeah, we should probably get back to that now. Sure. Okay, I guess. And also at this point, I don't need to see Titania ever again. Titania was built up as being this like big bad villain rival, and she's just kind of a petty bitch. That's it. She's just petty and bitchy. I don't care. I don't care at all. I don't care even a little bit about anything to do with Titania anymore. I have tried. I have really tried. And I thought the copyright case was going to be a much bigger part of the season. I was like, oh, now she's going to have to do this legal battle to really claim the name She-Hulk. Like she's got to own the name She-Hulk, and that'll be a great character arc for the season. No, it's over in one episode. Oh, okay. So then what are we doing? What are we doing with this show? I have no idea anymore. I honestly have no idea where this show's going anymore. And I really wish Soul was here right now, so I didn't just sound like some dude that they're talking about on the show. Like they've made the trolls a part of the show. And I feel like one of them right now because I'm ragging on this show, but I really don't like it. I haven't liked it since episode 1. And the writing is just so messy, and I don't get where we're going anymore. And like, I'm all in on anything Marvel wants to do, but this is the first time Marvel has made something where I'm just like, guys, I don't get what we're doing here. Why are we here? Give me a reason to care about any of this. And I don't have one. I really don't. So that's me flying solo this week. Soul should be back next week or the week after. I forget when she gets back from her trip, but she's traveling around everywhere right now. at the time I'm recording this, she's I don't know. I don't know where she's at right now. She told me her plans, but she's traveling and having a great trip and enjoying a much needed vacation. And so we'll have her back on here soon to finish up with She-Hulk. We've got our Andor reviews going up here this week as well, and everything else going on in the channel. So make sure you guys check that stuff out, and we will see you again next time here on Off the Wall. Bye.